Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. Today I am digging into my Best of Both Worlds kit to create a process layout video for you. And this layout is going to focus on this foil and an interesting technique to put it to use. So let's get started. I'm going to use this photo of my daughter with her reading specialist when she kind of graduated from that program. And I wanted to add a bunch of interesting alphabets to my background. So I am starting with this plain white sheet of cardstock, and I'm going to just use really simple embellishing with this washi tape to add a mat to my photo. So the main part of this layout is going to be using these stamps to add this background interest. And I'm going to stamp these little burst images just with some inks, and then I am going to use the alphabet stamp to add foiling. So I've got my design kind of laid out here. I've chosen ink colors based on the washi tape that I will use to mat my photo and ones that kind of go along with the photo. I had considered changing the photo to black and white, but I decided to go ahead and just leave it. So I am kind of marking where I know I want my photo to go so I don't waste my time stamping in that zone, and so that I can stamp into that zone ever so slightly for more dimension. And then I place my stamps around the layout to add variety of pattern to the page. Now I have 6 stamps and 4 colors, so I am going to have to make some decisions about which colors go where. And in the beginning here, I'm just trying to spread out bolder colors with softer colors, and then I will fill in the gaps with the opposite colors and patterns, if that makes sense. So hopefully you can see this as we go. I started off with some bursts and some, I guess they're all kind of bursts now, aren't they? I tried to mix up the patterns so that it spreads the different shapes around the layout. And now when I'm coming back in to add more stamps for my second round of stamping, I want to use the other patterns that I haven't used yet. And I am sure to let some of those patterns flow off the edge, because if you don't let them flow off the edge of your paper becomes a trap. And it's kind of disconcerting to see everything kind of just stop at the edge. So this provides a better flow when you let things kind of dangle off the edge. And also some of these bolder colors, you can kind of hide some of their boldness by letting them flow off the edge. So you're just getting a hint of that color instead of a full-on burst of that color. So I am sure to keep adding in patterns and shapes that spread out. And often you'll see me kind of looking at triangles. So I will try and spread them out into a visual triangle of some sort between the color and the patterns. And the other piece of this decision is that the alphabets that I'm going to add on top of these circles actually are going to spell out a phrase, and it's going to spell out "you are the best." And so it will read as individual letters, but if you take a careful look at it, it will also read as a phrase and add more interest to this layout. So in order to spell that, I know I need at least 13 circles, and then I will add in more circles here and there if the layout is feeling like it's missing something. And with all of my stamping done, I move to my letters. Now, each of these burst letters or these burst circles will have a letter on them, and you can see that I'm spelling out "you are," and then down here on the left, "the," and I will spell out "best," but I need to repeat the E and the T. So here is the technique for this video. I am just kind of making this up as I go. I haven't ever seen this done before, although I'm sure somebody else has done it. This is Deco Foil, and Deco Foil can be used through a heat laminator, or it can be used with a sticky product. And I am going to use this two-way glue, which stays tacky once it's dry, to adhere my foil down. Now, I used my stamp and I dipped it into the glue carefully to use it as an ink to stamp with this glue, and it worked better than I thought it would. So once I press this foil onto that tacky glue, I did let it dry. And like I said, it does stay tacky once it's dry. And then I can press this foil onto that tacky glue, and it adheres the foil to my project. And like I said, it worked better than I thought it would. So I was pleased that this this whole process was going to come out okay. I know when I started this layout, I was going to starting with an experiment in mind. So this is the glue. This is from scrapbook.com, and I'm sure there's other glues out there that stay tacky once they're quote unquote dry. But this is the one that I have, and so this is what I am using. And you can see how I created myself a little ink glue palette, and I just spread out a puddle of the glue with my finger, and I'm very carefully dipping into that glue, because if your glue puddle is too deep, what's going to happen is the grooves of your stamp will pick up that and transfer it, and that's what happened to that letter O for me. So I just used a little pokey tool to kind of scoop up some of the excess glue, and now I didn't get it all, but when I was done with the project, it turned out okay, and I was happy with it, so I just let it be. And I should say that you should be sure to clean off your stamp immediately after using the glue with some kind of wet wipe product so that you don't damage your stamps. Moving on to the foiling, I want to be sure not to touch this foil to any part of the project that's still tacky. So I cut my sheet down to a smaller size to prevent mistakes from happening, and I was always sure when I put my foil down to my project that I wasn't overlapping something I didn't mean to. And then I chose colors of the foil area that would kind of go along with the stamping in the background. And because this is a rainbow, of course I'm getting several tones of color in one letter. But it was fun, and I really enjoyed doing this project, and I was very pleased at how it came out. And I will save that foil piece to use on something else later, because that was a fun piece right there. So here you can kind of see some of the lovely foilness of those letters. And I will have close-up photos for you at the end, so stick around to the end. And so the rest of this layout really came together fast, because it was really about this foiling technique that I was doing. So I just created a mat for my photo, like I said I would, out of this washi tape, and then added my photo in, and added a little bit extra washi tape. Both these washi's are from the Vicky Bouton Storyteller collection, and this black washi tape says tell your story. So I just kind of sprinkled that around a little bit, and then I work on the rest of my title. Pardon my head there. I did leave this section of the page purposely open from all of that stamping and foiling technique, because I knew I was going to run my title and my journaling here. So keep that in mind if you're going to try this background stamping, to make sure you know where the rest of your pieces are going to go, so you don't waste your time doing parts that you don't need to do. And then I was going to give myself some journaling lines for my stamping, but guess what happened? You guys, I dropped my stamp onto my project. I may have said a few choice words, but then I took a deep breath and I said, it's okay. I'm not perfect. Life isn't perfect. My projects don't have to be perfect. I'm going to do the best I can to clean it up. And I used a craft knife and this sand eraser, which is from Tombow, and I will put links in the show notes for you. And I learned that fix technique from Jennifer McGuire. You scrape off the top layer of paper, and you do have to scrape pretty deep because that ink does soak down. And then you sand out the rough paper with the eraser, and that mostly fixes it. Now, the part where it went over my letter and my stamping, I couldn't do that. So I just had to be okay with having a mistake. And then I finished it off with some sequins, and here we go with the still photos to give you a better idea of how all this stuff came together. And there you can see that lovely, lovely shiny S. So I hope you enjoyed this project. I hope you found this technique interesting. I was excited about it, and it was really fun. So if you give it a try, please let me know. And I will be back next week with more videos. I'll see you next time.